2025. I'll take apologies for absence first, please.
I have an apology from Councillor Robert Francis Davis.
I also have apologies from Councillor Alison Anthony. Are there any others? Okay, we'll move on to disclosures of personal and prejudicial interest. Are there any to disclose for today? Yes, Councillor King.
Yeah, thank you, Leader. Just in item 11, sorry, personal interest only, as the school I'm chair of governance is mentioned in the report.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Smith.
I just have local authority government appointments. I'm a member of the appointments panel and I've got dispensation to remain but not vote.
Okay, are there any others? If not, we'll move on to the minutes of the previous meeting. They're on pages 1 to 8 of the agenda. I haven't received any requests for amendments, but happy to take them if anybody has them. If not, then I'll move the minutes. Could I ask for a seconder, please?
Happy to second.
Okay, thank you very much. And all those in favour, please? Thank you very much. Those are agreed. Announcements of Leader of the Council. I have no announcements for today, so we'll move to public question time. Are there any members of the public who would like to ask questions this morning? If not, then we'll move to councillors' question time. Are there any councillors who would like to ask questions today? I don't see anybody present.
Chris.
Oh, apologies. Councillor Holly, online. Chris?
Yeah, thanks, Leader. It's, what is it? Give me a bit of time to find it. On the road safety grant, which is item 12 on the agenda, there are some issues in
Sorry, Councillor Holly, can I just check? Is item 14, the capital allocation to highways?
yeah, the financial procurement rule, road safety grant to 2021. Well, I don't understand that. Why is that down on there?
Councillor Holly, I think you might have the wrong agenda.
I've apologized. I got the wrong one.
No problem.
I'll carry on then. I'll have to forego the question.
No problem. Okay. Thank you very much, Councillor Holly. No problem. We'll move then on to item 7, which is local authority governor appointments. Councillor Smith.
Thank you, Leader. Happy to move the report and thank the people who've come forward for this role.
Thank you very much. Very happy to second. Are there any questions or comments for Councillor Smith? If not, could I ask you to all show if you're in favour of the report, please? Thank you very much. That is carried. We'll move then to Q3 24-25 performance monitoring report. Councillor Hopkins.
Yeah, thanks, Leader. Q3 continues to show good progress against our wellbeing objectives. Most of our performance measures are on track and significant steps have been completed. 76.5% of our corporate plans are either green or blue. 73.2% of our success measures are either green or blue. 57.6% of our PIs are green, either met or exceeded target. Number of our PAs continue to be green through Q1, 2 and 3. This includes a number of children and young people supported by Child and Family Services at the end of this period. The percentage of plan applications determined within agreed timescales, and a number of people gaining employment through the employability support. Ongoing challenges include financial pressures, demand in social services, and also demand in homelessness. However, we have suitable arrangements in place to monitor, manage and mitigate these effectively. Risks. We have 14 risks and 6 issues related to our wellbeing objectives. Shows 80% remain static in their terms of scores. 10 risks and issues are related to red and 10 are amber. But the integrated performance and risk management approach helps ensure resources are allocated efficiently as necessary and adjustments made to support our council wellbeing objectives. More than happy to move the report, and I'm sure my colleagues will come in with certain items. Thanks, Leader.
Thank you very much, Councillor Hopkins. I'm very happy to second, and again, another good performance for the third quarter. Obviously, as always, there are some elements where improvements will continue to be required, but overall, a strong performance quarter yet again. I'll invite colleagues to make any comments they wish in terms of areas within their portfolio. Councillor Lewis.
Yes, thank you, Leader, and thank you to Councillor Hopkins for the report. And as Councillor Hopkins has highlighted, we are still seeing tremendous pressures in our homelessness services, with a staggering number, over 300 people now in emergency and temporary accommodation. But I must pay tribute to our workforce and our frontline staff who are doing a fantastic job in terms of prevention of homelessness, which is something which is more difficult to monitor. But I know thousands of people every year are supported to not enter into homelessness by our teams. And so just to acknowledge that this morning, that even though the figures reflect high numbers in emergency accommodation, there's still a whole wealth of work going on behind the scenes to support the residents of Swansea.
Yeah, thank you very much for that, Councillor Lewis. Councillor Gibbard.
Yeah, likewise. I just wanted to put on record my thanks to our staff across child and family services and adult services who are working incredibly hard. And as you can see from the performance monitoring, we are doing incredibly well in some areas, but then other areas facing challenges which we've discussed at length here, which and we're all aware of. So some really good work going on. We've got plans and transformation in place to look at how we can tackle those areas where we are underperforming. But I wouldn't call it underperformance, perhaps not hitting the targets, but still working incredibly hard and delivering for people across Swansea.
Absolutely, Councillor Gibbard, and again, we've mentioned in previous meetings that demand at our front doors increased by more than 20%, and yet the team are still able to deliver on their PIs and deliver the care that people need. And I'm sure the £25.4 million made available for this year extra will help deal with some of those pressures. Councillor Stevens.
Yeah, thanks, Leader. I just want to put on record thanks to staff across the authority in terms of we're doing some excellent work around our roads investment. We're on track with a number of those targets, as well as our bus shelter replacement programmes. And as I'm sure if Councillor Francis Davis was here, he'd reference the excellent work we're doing across our parks in terms of improving generational improvement out right across the play areas. I mean, complete revamp of over 50 odd play areas, as well as which work is ongoing, as well as our investment in skate parks going forward. And as I say, we're agreeing on so far in terms of our local roads upgrades, and there's more to come on that later on the agenda, Chair, but I'm happy to support the report.
Thank you very much for that, Councillor Stevens. Councillor Smith.
Yes, I'd echo the thanks to officers, and certainly within the Education Directorate. I think there's evidence of progress across the different range of activities that are going on. Most of the measures we have are qualitative measures of work that is ongoing, and by nature, that is more difficult to measure. But I think there are concrete achievements to report in the last quarter, where we're looking at quantitative targets. We have the school attendance, and again, although we're not where we want to be, I think we're very close to hitting the target, and we are certainly making progress in ensuring that all children in Swansea are attending the schools that they're supposed to attend, whether it's the PRA, whether it's special school, primary or secondary. I think that is progress that we can be proud of, Leader.
Yeah, absolutely, Councillor. Thank you for that. Any other Cabinet members wish to make any comments on items in the report? If not, I'll just add my comments to say thank you again for all the work that's been done by staff and Cabinet members to make sure that we deliver on our performance indicators. Again, it is a strong quarter of performance, exceptionally so given the pressures faced, as was referenced by Councillor Hopkins, in some key departments there. So well done to everybody, but we've still got more to do, as always. So the report has been moved and seconded. Could I ask you then to show whether you're in favour, please? Thank you all very much. That is carried. We'll move then to agenda item 9, which is Disabled Facilities and Improvement Grant Programme for 25-26. Councillor Lewis.
Thank you, Leader. So I'm really pleased to say that we continue with a significant investment in the Disabled Facilities and Improvement Grant Programme. This clearly is used to help people maintain their independence in their homes for as long as possible and hopefully relieve pressure on social services in terms of residential care, for example. So just to highlight, the programme includes the Disabled Facility Grant for large-scale adaptations in terms of extensions to expand accommodation where necessary. There's a discretionary fast-track adaptations programme, which is not means tested at this time. Discretionary disabled facilities loan, which tops up the major grants over 36,000. There's council tenant adaptations, home fix loans to help owners to bring properties into better state of repair so that they can be rented out, for example, and care and repair minor adaptations grants, which are really small grants, but really key to helping people stay in their homes and also to exit hospital. We've got the Comfort, Safety and Security Grant, the Welsh Government Landlord Loan, the Welsh Government Owner Occupier Loan, and the Capital Programme for 2025-26 is shown in Table 1 in the appendices. Just to highlight the risks and issues under that assessment, we do see a risk at the moment in terms of our medium and small disabled facility grants. Because they're not means tested, we've seen a huge surge in applications, which is causing some difficulty in terms of managing that resource and capacity. So we keep a close eye on that. And you'll see under financial implications at point 33, the current demand for home fix loans has reduced. So the proposal is to reduce the money allocated from £500,000 to £350,000 in the next financial year. But the demand for minor adaptations has increased, which is delivered by Western Bay Care and Repair. And so the proposal is to increase the money in the minor repairs, which, as I say, plays a key part in helping people maintain their independence. So you'll see in Table 1 a staggering investment of £8,650,000 expected in 25-26 and a draft budget for 26-27 of £7,950,000. So significant investment in this programme, which I'm really pleased to say. So happy to move the recommendations on page 83. That Cabinet approves the Disabled Facilities and Improvement Grant Programme as detailed, including its financial implications, and includes the programme in the 25-26 capital budget. Happy to take any questions.
Thank you, Councillor Lewis, and very happy to formally second. I think, again, this will make a big difference to a number of people's lives across Swansea, as you said, and help retain independence. Councillor Stevens.
Apologies, Chair, I missed it at the beginning. I just need to put on record a personal interest in this item as a close family member going through the adoptions process. Thanks.
Okay, thank you. We record that. Are there any questions or comments to Councillor Lewis? If not, the recommendations are there on page 83. Could I ask you all to show your approval, please? Or if you approve. Thank you very much. That is carried. We'll move then, thank you, colleagues. We'll move then to item 10, which is the response to the scrutiny inquiry panel into community assets. I don't see Councillor Rice online, so I'm assuming he's not going to present the report today in terms of scrutiny, but I know Cabinet have read the recommendations in the report. Interesting one this, in that we have agreed the majority of the recommendations on the basis they were already what we were doing. So again, it's nice to know that scrutiny has taken the opportunity to review this and found that what they'd like us to do, we actually do. I think one of the learning points perhaps is making sure that members and organisations are aware of what the process is and what can be achieved through it. I think over a number of years now, this has been a successful programme, allowing us to give more control over assets to community organisations, but also in some occasions saving them from closure as they've been able to access other grants and other funding that has allowed them to thrive. So again, grateful for the work that's been undertaken by the panel, and obviously grateful that they've endorsed the policy that we have. So I'll say no more than that, other than to formally move our response to that scrutiny report and our recommendation there, which is on page 93. So I shall formally move.
Happy to second.
Thank you very much. Are there any comments or questions from any Cabinet members? If not, could I ask you to show if you're in approval, please? Thank you very much. That is carried. Let me just find my next page. Okay. On to item 11 then, the proposed new model for specialist teaching facilities across Swansea. Councillor Smith.
Thank you, Leader. As members will be aware, Cabinet has previously decided to undertake statutory consultation in relation to changes to specialist teaching facilities in Swansea. And can I thank officers, in particular Michelle Thomas, for the work that's gone into preparing this report and preparing the work in advance. What this proposal involved was a reconfiguration of Swansea specialist teaching facilities, so that we redesignate some, we expand provision in another, and that the provision in 5 of the current STFs is brought to an end because of provision that is being made elsewhere. There were no objections to the statutory notice, and what this will enable us to do, now that we're able to proceed without any objections, is that we will be able to make provision closer to where learners live. We will be making provision that meets the changing needs of learners, and that we will be able to respond more effectively to increased demands. This report, I think, recognises the role of STFs in specialist provision in Swansea, and it's clear in the report that these changes are going to be brought in incrementally. There will be no changes to the provision currently enjoyed by learners anywhere in Swansea, where learners currently will still have that provision until they leave school. What this is looking to do is to change the provision moving forward, and as I said, enable us to build capacity to respond to the needs and the changing needs of our learners in Swansea. So it's a great pleasure to move the report, Leader.
Yeah, thank you, Councillor Smith, and can I thank you for the work you've done along with your officers to do this. As you said, this is about adapting to changing needs across the authority and creating provision, specialist provision in the right places, focused on the right needs of the children coming through the system, whilst protecting the needs of those already in the system. So very happy to second the report. Are there any questions or comments for Councillor Smith? If not, the recommendation that is there on page 139, could I ask you to show if you're in approval, please? Thank you very much. That is carried. Thank you, colleagues. We'll move to agenda item 13, which is on page 304 of the agenda. Sorry if I skipped one of it. 211. So
it's on the first bundle.
Okay, page 211, item 12. Apologies. The proposals to amalgamate Blaenau Mice and Portmead primary schools. Councillor Smith.
Yes, thank you, Leader. And again, I'd like to thank Michelle Thomas for the work that's been in preparing this report. As members will be aware, there is a commitment to provide a new primary school for the catchment area currently served by Portmead and Blaenau Mice primary schools. And in advance of that proposal, there is a proposal to amalgamate both schools as of September 2027. This would become a crucial first step in preparing for the new school. It would bring the two schools together so that there are common systems, common curriculum, common pastoral systems, common staff development procedures, and that the STF, of course, would be remaining as it is on site in Portmead. It will enable a more seamless transition to be made to the new school, and I think it's people need to recognise that when we are building a new school, it's not just about the building, it's about the people there, it's about the staff, but what I've more important than anything, it's about the children there. And these proposals to amalgamate from September 2027 will enable those foundations to be placed so that when the school moves into the new building, they'll be able to hit the ground running and succeed as a school moving forward. So I'm happy to propose the report, Chair.
Yeah, thank you very much, Councillor Smith. I'm very happy to second. It's really important that Portmead and Blind and Mice pupils benefit from the best facilities we can offer. This is the start of that process, as you said. The conditions in both schools are not as we would wish them to be. It is time that that area did get a brand new facility, and that's what this will enable. And again, it's part of that £179 million that we've committed to invest in our schools estate in this period. And again, of course, that ambition will continue as we go into the next phase of planning with Welsh Government, where we're hoping to invest over 300 million in the schools estate to deliver further sites across Swansea. But really, really pleased to see the new proposals for Blind and Mice and Portmead coming forward. So thank you very much for that. Are there any questions or comments for Councillor Smith? If not, recommendation is there on page 211. I ask you all to show if you're in approval, please. Thank you very much, colleagues. We'll move then to item 13, which is the Adult Services Day Service Transformation. Councillor Gibbard.
Thank you, Leader. I'm presenting today a report on our Adult Services Day Services transformation. Our day services are a vital part of our adult services offer, providing invaluable opportunities for individuals to, with a wide range of support needs to develop their skills, promote independence, socialise and engage with others and the wider community, and as respite for themselves and their carers. We currently offer 18 day services spread across a number of sites, and we are looking to remodel this both in order to better optimise our use of resources, but also to make sure we're meeting the changing needs and demands of our residents. This work started pre and post-COVID with surveys, workshops and other engagement with service users, friends, family, carers and professionals. This showed us just how important our day services are to them, and they agreed with our priorities going forward, which are to focus on outcomes, strengths, prevention and early intervention, and to support people to be active in their community, accessing a range of opportunities for work, volunteering and other activities. So with this in mind, we're proposing a new model focusing on 6 types of opportunity, and these are outlined in section 2.7. So that is from sort of like a continuum of needs. So first of all, prevention and early help, that's the social and community. Secondly, assessment. Thirdly, employability, wellbeing, skills and development. 4, more flexible support. 5, day activity. This is perhaps more the sort of managed care. And 6, much more specialist day support. So I'm asking Cabinet today to agree 2 recommendations. First of all, that we agree with this new model and we progress with much more extensive co-production to make these changes, because it's really important for us that we do this in cooperation with our service users and carers. And secondly, I'm seeking Cabinet's permission to make some of our temporary moves more permanent. These largely took place due to COVID and the changing of the demands of the service at that time, and also in the case of Toronto Place, some issues with the building. These changes have been working really well. All service users are happy with them, and there's going to be some excellent work started or being planned to repurpose the sites that have been vacated, such as an independent living hub at T1 Arloedd and some supported living apartments in Mice Glass. So we're happy to move the report. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Councillor Gibbard, and can I thank you and the officers for the work done on this. Again, it's an evolving situation, and again, we're targeting the resources we have to best provide for the needs in terms of day service transformation. And as you said, there's some significant aspects to that. So again, good to see this coming forward, and thank you very much for bringing the report. I'll open it up for comments or questions to colleagues. If there aren't any, then if we can move to the vote, please. And if you could show if you're in favour of the recommendations, please. Thank you very much. That is carried. Okay, colleagues, we move then to agenda item 14 on page 341, which is Financial Procedure Rule 7, Capital Allocation to Highways Infrastructure Assets 25-26. Councillor Stevens.
Yes, thank you, Chair. I'm pleased to report this bring this report to Cabinet today, setting out a comprehensive programme of improvements planned for our highways infrastructure over the coming year. Combined with the report later on today's agenda and the funding agreed at our last Cabinet, we're looking at a potential total of circa 20 million in our highways and transport infrastructure this year. This report outlines a significant level of direct investment prioritising carriageways, footways, street lighting upgrades and critical drainage enhancements, with further funding earmarked for next year. A particularly welcome highlight is our continued commitment to the Gower Coast path improvements between Limeslade and Rotherslade. The next phase will deliver a further 250 metres of accessible newly surfaced path, complementing previous phases and moving us closer to a fully accessible mile-long coastal route that's enjoyed annually by over 100,000 visitors and residents. So additionally, we have opportunities to expand successful lighting schemes, such as the recent enhancements along Swansea Bay. Introducing similar improvements elsewhere could significantly enhance safety, boost active travel and encourage greater enjoyment of outdoor spaces. We also look at resurfacing key pathways in our parks, making them more accessible, attractive and welcoming spaces for all residents. This builds on the transformational work, as I mentioned earlier, already undertaken to revamp our play areas and the numerous nature and biodiversity initiatives happening across many of our parks. Improvements at key locations will significantly enhance access for even more users, just as we've done at sites like Golden Grove. And an element of this funding will also be set aside to enable us to carry out much needed small resurfacing works on historic and adopted roads, with partial support from members' community budgets or other funding sources. Members often receive requests from residents to help with these roads, but have previously been unable to. This should now allow us to start addressing some of these long-standing problem areas, improving access and road conditions for those affected. Additionally, we're replenishing the drop curbs budget, giving members the opportunity to request accessibility improvements in their wards at key locations. Drop curbs play a crucial role in ensuring safe, step-free access for wheelchair users, prams and those with mobility difficulties, making it easier for people to navigate the communities. Last year, Chair, our highways team carried out extensive resurfacing across the city's key routes, tackling wear and tear and improving overall travel conditions. They also repaired over 5,000 potholes, responding to public reports and ensuring our network remains safe and reliable. With this funding, we can do even more to maintain and improve the city's infrastructure. And finally, Chair, I want to place on record my thanks to Bob Fenwick and for his work in pulling together this report, and our entire highways team for their outstanding efforts across the city every day. So I'd welcome comments from members and happy to move the report.
Thank you, Councillor Stevens. Really happy to second this one and place on record my thanks as well to yourself, to Bob and the team who are doing an outstanding job and will be able to do a lot more this year, given the enhanced resources we've been able to get. We'll be remiss of me not to thank as well the Welsh Government for the introduction of the local government borrowing initiative. That is something we've lobbied for some time and allows us to get supported borrowing to invest in our roads. That means that the costs are borne by the Welsh Government for that investment, although we take out the borrowing on their behalf. And obviously, in terms of adding to that, as you said, when you add all of the things together, including our own additional investment, it takes us over the 20 million mark. It will allow us, let's be clear, it will allow us to do something that we haven't been able to do given resources for a number of years, and that is to do thousands of interventions across our county, allow us to tackle some of those unadopted roads, allow us to improve major routes with resurfacing, and to do a scheme that's nearly 3 times as big as anything we've been able to do in recent years. So it is truly a remarkable amount of capital investment for highways this year, and likely to be repeated at a similar level next year, given that the borrowing initiative is over 2 years. So very welcome to see this one. So thank you very much for that. I know you're extremely pleased about the coastal path element yourself as well. So with that, any questions or comments to Councillor Stevens? If not, colleagues, recommendations are on page 341. And can I ask you all to show if you're in agreement, please? Thank you very much. That is carried. Moving then to agenda item 15, which is capital programme authorisation for the commitment of capital grant funding awarded to the authority's traveller site, and to authorise the move of capital funding into the traveller site budget. Councillor Lewis.
Yes, thank you, Leader. So this is a nominal sum in many respects, but will have a big impact in terms of improving the facilities for the traveller families on the sites, in terms of improving showering facilities in particular, and some fencing as well. So everything is mentioned in the report. There's nothing really I need to add today, but I'm happy to take any questions, and I so move the recommendations on page 352.
Yeah, thank you very much, Councillor Lewis. Yeah, the site does need to have further infrastructure upgrades, and that's what the report allows for. So happy to formally second. Are there any questions or comments to Councillor Lewis on this item? With that, then on page 352, you have the recommendations. Could I ask you to show if you're in approval, please? Thank you, colleagues. That is carried. On then to agenda item 16, which is the unreasonable customer behaviour policy. Councillor Lewis.
Thank you, Leader. So this is an update to the existing policy, so it's not a new policy. However, it is a live document which can be updated as and when required. We've had significant input to date from people across our organisation. We're keeping the policy general enough so that it can be applied to a broad range of incidents. Some specifics have also been added following examples that have been experienced in services and departments. And if approved today, we'll also issue an easy read version for the public. So the unreasonable customer behaviour policy outlines Swansea Council's approach to managing interactions with the public who exhibit unreasonable or unacceptable behaviour. And there are key points which I'll summarise. So as a council, we aim to provide high quality service to all customers, and in return, we expect courteous and respectful engagement. However, some customers may act in ways that hinder service delivery or pose risks to our staff and others. So in terms of the definition of unreasonable conduct, the policy lists various behaviours considered unreasonable, such as acts of threats of violence, abusive language, persistent or vexatious contact, making malicious or defamatory comments, and using social media to harass both staff and councillors. So I'm really pleased that woven throughout this policy, there's not just reference to staff, it also acknowledges reference to councillors as well, who do experience poor behaviour from time to time. So in terms of stage 1 immediate actions, if a customer behaves unreasonably, staff will explain the impact of the behaviour and ask them to improve it. If the behaviour persists, staff are able to terminate contact and report the incident to their line manager. In terms of stage 2, if unreasonable behaviour continues, the head of service will involve the head of digital and customer services to determine appropriate actions, such as restricting contact to specific staff or excluding the customer from some council premises. Health and safety, the policy includes measures which are there to protect staff and councillors from threats or potential criminal actions, such as reporting incidents to the police and using injunctions to prevent serious unreasonable behaviour. And in terms of the appeals process, customers do have the right to appeal decisions made under this policy, except for the exclusion from buildings due to safety concerns. And those appeals are reviewed by a senior officer panel. And lastly, with regards to electronic recording, customers must inform staff or councillors, if they intend to record conversations, covert recording is considered unreasonable behaviour and subject to policy actions. So in summary, the policy ensures that customer interactions are managed in a way that protect staff and councillors while maintaining service quality and respecting customers' rights. I pay sincere thanks to Sarah Lackenby for her integral role in developing this policy, and I move the recommendations on page 357. Happy to take any questions, Leader.
Yeah, thank you very much, Councillor Lewis, and very happy to second this report. While the overwhelming majority of residents and customers engage in a positive way with the authority and its staff and its members, there are a small number that are persistent in exhibiting unreasonable behaviour. Many of the day-to-day issues that members and staff experience go unreported, but they have a significant impact on both the staff and members and their families. Recently, we heard at the Planning Committee of members receiving intimidation and abuse on a planning matter. There have been other meetings recently in the authority where the same comments have been made, and I have to say, from a WLGA perspective, similar policies are being developed there because, unfortunately, abuse of both members and officers is becoming all too common. So again, whilst the overwhelming majority of residents and customers do behave with integrity and reasonableness, it's unfortunate that there is still that cohort that would act, and hopefully this policy will help set out the appropriate actions that we'll take in those circumstances to protect staff and members from that type of abuse and unreasonable behaviour. So very pleased to see the report here, even if the reasons for it are ones that we'd all wish didn't occur. Are there any questions or comments for Councillor Lewis? Okay, with that then, it's been moved and seconded. So could I ask you to show if you're in favour of the recommendations on 357? Thank you very much. We'll move then to item 17, which is the Local Transport Fund, Ultra Low Emission Vehicle Transformation Fund and Active Travel Fund grants for 25-26. Joint report between Cabinet Member for Infrastructure and Environment and Service Transformation. So, Councillor Stevens first, please.
Yes, thank you, Leader, and I'm pleased to bring this report alongside Councillor Lewis to Cabinet today. The report sets out the funding application submitted to the Welsh Government under the Local Transport Fund, Resilient Roads Fund and Active Travel Fund, as well as the Ultra Low Emission Vehicle Fund for the coming year. The proposal reflects our ongoing commitment to developing an efficient, sustainable and resilient transport network. Under the Local Transport Fund, significant investment is sought for the continued development of the Swansea Bay and West Wales Metro, aimed at delivering enhanced regional connectivity through sustainable transport solutions, such as bus priority infrastructure and real-time passenger information systems. Also included is the Northern City Link Sustainable Transport Corridor, which includes detailed highway design and traffic modelling to enable bus prioritisation and improved active travel connections along Carmarthen Road through to High Street. Additionally, the Swansea Valley Bus Corridor seeks to support to go to the next stage of development, aiming to deliver crucial improvements for public transport reliability. Within the Resilient Road Funds, schemes targeted increased highway resilience against flooding, seeking to address critical locations such as Clay Square and the corridor between Skirlage and Llanddewi. These improvements will safeguard essential transport routes, reducing disruption from extreme weather events and protecting community access to service and facilities. The Active Travel Fund application prioritises a major scheme at Klein Common, aiming to deliver a safe, high-quality 2.5 kilometre shared use path for pedestrians, cyclists and equestrians, filling a critical gap in our active travel network. The ATF co-allocation is proposed for development and feasibility studies for future routes, including Penclawdd to Gowerton, which further enhance our network of safe, accessible, active travel infrastructure. And so, Chair, I just want to put on record my thanks to Chloe for pulling together the report and our entire active travel team for the excellent work pulling together such a comprehensive bid and for the continual engagement with the residents, ward members and groups as these initiatives progress.
Okay, thank you, Councillor Stevens. Councillor Lewis.
Thank you, Leader, and thank you to Councillor Stevens. I'm very happy to second this report here today and welcome the £669,000 worth of investment in phase 2 of our electric vehicle charging infrastructure. In terms of at 4.3, the on-street charging, my special thanks to Councillor Stevens, because we've worked very closely together on this in terms of the turbo charging channels will be across the pedestrian highway. And so Councillor Stevens and I have worked very closely on this. It is going to be quite complicated, it's fair to say, in terms of a process, but we are working closely with officers to try and simplify that process as much as possible. And this initial investment will mean only 10 channels. So I hope in the future that once this pilot has been carried out, that we could consider further investment, because we have seen a significant amount of interest, particularly from residents living in terraced properties who don't have driveways. And, you know, the access to using their own energy is impossible without this kind of technology and this approach. So I'm quite excited to see this and to pilot this in Swansea. And following that, I hope that we do see some further investment to help more residents. And in addition to that, we've got ultra rapid charging proposed at Gowerton, Clydach, Portainen and Mumbles, and then upgrades to our existing infrastructure, where we currently have 104 fast chargers located across 37 different locations in the city. So the infrastructure continues to grow and we continue to apply for grants. And my thanks to Welsh Government and UK Government for the grants that have made this possible. So happy to take any questions, Leader.
Thank you both for that, and a really good series of investments there aimed at improving not just EV charging, but local transport and active travel across the city. Very pleasing from my perspective as well to see further investment in the work on the Swansea Bay Metro. Again, that's a main ambition of both us in Swansea and the region. And 3.4 lays out what the 2.95 million there will deliver in terms of our aspirations for the Metro. Of course, we will be the first region in Wales in 2027 to take on bus franchising, and bus franchising together with rail enhancements are good steps forward in terms of delivering that South West Wales Metro that we want to see in our region. So very, very pleased to see the report here today again on those items. The recommendations as moved and seconded by the Cabinet members on page 374. I'll ask if any colleagues have any further questions or comments. But if not, if we could go to the vote, and all those in favour, if you could please show, please. Thank you very much. That is agreed. So we move on to agenda item 18 now, which is the appointment of directors to the joint venture company for Swansea Bay Sports Park. I will take this report in Councillor Francis Davis's absence. This one's mine. The next one is Councillor Francis Davis. You'll be aware that we have aspirations to create a sports park in Swansea Bay. A key element of that is making sure that we have suitable arrangements in place for the Wales National Pool and the facilities around it. The existing arrangements were due to expire in December 23, and they've been extended to allow us to put in place a new model of operation for that park and to look at the appropriate arrangements for a joint venture company. You have the recommendations there on page 404, which lay out what is proposed for the next phase. But I would draw your attention to the point 2.3 in the agenda, where we're seeking to appoint 2 directors, and they would be the ones named there, the Director of Place and Head of Cultural Services, Parks and Cleansing, who will have delegated authority to oversee and confirm the articles of association, including land governance and financial implications. The evaluation responses to the section questionnaire, the implementation of Gateway 3, and a few other elements within that as part of their appointment. Obviously, longer term, we would have the opportunity to substitute those directors when we know what the joint venture final arrangements will be. But this is a good step forward in terms of giving a strong and clear future for the Wales National Pool, and it allows us to make progress to the next phase of that process. So with that, I move the recommendations on page 404 with that amendment, just pointing towards the section 2.3 where the directors are named. I'll look for a seconder first, please. Yeah, thank you, Councillor Hopkins. Councillor Smith.
Yes, Judge, Leader, just to clarify with the legal officer, as this is looking to the future, I don't believe I have an interest as a director of the Wales National Pool, but I'm happy to be guided.
Yes, this is about future arrangements for the JV going forward, so it doesn't affect your position.
Thank you.
Now, currently.
Okay, thank you, colleagues. So if there are any questions or comments? If not, recommendations are on page 404 as amended. So could I ask you all to show of your approval, please? Thank you very much. That is agreed. Item 19, this is the joint report. So this is around the allocations for the Shared Prosperity Fund for the transitional year. As you know, the new UK Labour government has confirmed a transitional arrangement for SPF for the coming year. That is to allow the comprehensive spending review to take place. We are awaiting the outcome of that review in terms of knowing what the future of SPF will look like. In section 6, you will see the relevant breakdowns between the anchors and calls on the fund. They are pretty similar to what we have had in the last few years of SPF to allow us consistency, although the overall sums are slightly lower than we'd previously had for the transitional year. We have lobbied both Welsh and UK government from the region and from the WLGA for an early indication of what the future arrangements will be, because we want to give staff, organisations and the people working in those roles as much certainty as we possibly can for future arrangements. And again, it's something we raised with the FM this week in a discussion through the WLGA. So again, good to see this funding continue because it underpins so much good work both in the authority and in the communities. And I move the recommendations there on page 409. Could I ask for a seconder, please?
Happy to second.
Thank you very much. Any questions or comments on Shared Prosperity Fund item? If not, then I would ask us to move to the vote, please. All those in favour? Thank you very much. That is approved. And with that, we come to the end of the open part of the agenda. On item 20 is the Chief Legal Officer's rationale for going into private session. Could I ask you all if you could show if you're in agreement, please? Thank you very much. We will do so then, and if I could ask just for us to pause for a second to allow for the pausing of the broadcast.